Man, the Daily Mail goes in hard. Abandoned stores, streets overtaken by the homeless and drug-addled, theft so rampant that candy is locked away. Candy. Why are we locking away candy? Drugs don't cost very much anymore, so you can sell that candy or you just eat it, right? You just eat it. And who doesn't want to go into a store? Hey, free candy. I'll take some. You bet. That's San Fran, right? Candy is locked away. Welcome to San Francisco's ghost town, downtown. Daily Mail here has put together a pretty concise version of, all right, this happened. Here you are. Here's your sign. That's what we're talking about today. Let's get into it. Let's see about San Fran's empty downtown. Here we go. A photo plastered on the empty windows shows it as it used to be. A colorful branch of Gap, the Gap store, surrounded by crowds of cheerful tourists, not a drug addict or scrap of litter in sight. It's weird when you see a street that you know is now just wrecked and ruined and just riffraff, drugs being sold. When you see that, and then you look at something from like out of the 70s when it wasn't like that, you're like, wow. Things have gone the wrong direction heavily, right? So today, San Francisco's once bustling Union Square and downtown area is a shadow of its former self. Rows of empty stores, sparse crowds even on peak weekend shopping days, and nearby hotels, including a huge Hilton, unable to cover their mortgage payments. We're putting the whole story together. This is the whole story. Basically, street crime and politics have pushed out stores and people wanting to shop there and people wanting to be tourists there. One of the things in this story is that tourism is only down 16%. People still want to go to San Fran. They still want to go there. They want to experience their own dodge the human fecal matter on the sidewalk. They don't care what anybody else says. They're going to go there and they're going to experience all that San Francisco has to offer. And by that, I mean, let's scooch down here. Let's scooch ahead. Look at that. Could you imagine? This is your reality. You're on a tour bus here and you're just like, yeah, we're just looking at the sights of San Fran from double-decker tour bus, right? Ever ridden one of those? Pretty cool. Used to ride them in Australia. You had to go upstairs. Yeah, that was cool. Walking upstairs. So you're riding in a tour bus and, you got, urban camping on the sidewalk. Hey, now, I didn't know you could camp just willy-nilly wherever. Yep. San Fran, you can. Seattle, you can. Portland is dropping the hammer on illegal urban camping from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. What's going on there? Yeah, they're desperately trying to clean things up, as is San Francisco. But you know what? It's not going to happen anytime soon. It's not going to happen anytime soon. I was messaging with somebody on the premiere this morning. Every morning at 9 o'clock, I'm typically on a premiere, which is the first release of that video. So I'm there. You can message me if you want. It's right on YouTube, premiere. Yeah, go to where the video is premiering, and I'll be there from 9 o'clock until whenever the video is over. I usually roll in at like 9:05. So if you want to chat with me, that kind of thing, or just check out what it's like to be within the chat stream of Premiere, a lot of like-minded folks. If you enjoy watching this content, there's a whole bunch of people there that are really cool. We got moderators and everything. On the other side of Market Street is the soon-to-be sold Westfield San Francisco Center. Its doorways reeking of urine and every store staffed by hulking security guards. I love that. You got some big guys in there because crime is so bad. And it is. Westfield, this is the mall we've been talking about for the last week or so. Westfield announced its planned departure on last Monday, and several occupants of the mall have already said they'll follow. Mainly the movie theater, Cinemark movie theater. Like, yeah, we're not doing so well here. And Nordstrom leaving and everybody else leaving, and ownership of the mall being transferred back to the lender. We're going to have to say that this isn't the greatest environment for us to show movies to our moviegoers. So we out. So they literally just said, yeah, last Friday, done, no more movies. The local branch of Walgreens is boarded up, although still open. That's good. Whenever you walk into a store that's either had a recent break-in or just is boarded up, you always kind of get that creepy feeling, don't you? You're like, oh, should I be shopping here? And that's what a lot of this part of downtown San Francisco is like. You just got boarded up or it's vacant. It's vacant. And let's talk about another thing here. Okay. One really caught my eye. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here, for lease, 1,300 square feet of retail. Now, this guy here, he doesn't come. He doesn't come with the lease. I mean, you're going to have to pay extra for this guy. This is just some guy that's, passed out in the doorway. He's, on some kind of whacked out drugs. He's got some of his stuff here with him. But I mean, hey, we're going to show this vacant unit. Would you mind just, scooching away from the door and maybe getting all the way out from the spin of the door opening so that we can, get these tenants in to take a look and see if we really want to rent this space out. You imagine going through that as a real estate agent, as a commercial real estate agent? All right. Yeah, sir, can I wake you up? Hello, McFly. Hello. Can I wake you up? Oh, yeah. Oh, we woke up a sleepy bear. That's what you're dealing with. That is literally what you're dealing with. And so you can't really blame businesses for not wanting to be there. All right. We're going to open up our beloved store in this environment. You look up and down the street and you go, good Lord, this is not good. I don't think we're going to invest in this part of town. This is not for us. We're going to reimagine and rethink putting our business anywhere but here. Days later, AT&T announced its iconic flagship store around the corner at 1 Powell Street, one of the largest in the country, was to permanently close. Yeah, we're AT&T and we are following all these other businesses that were no longer able to remain open, and we're going to have to close up shop. No can do. We've thought long and hard about this. Podcast on that one out there. The local branch of Walgreens is boarded up, although still open, and was recently the scene of a fatal confrontation between a homeless trans woman and a security guard. I mean, what else do you have to say? Nothing. You have to say nothing. It's like, this is what happens when you've got a drug policy and a crime policy that just is basically a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. Ross Dress for Less and Saks Fifth Avenue are operating on a 1-in, 1-out system to deter thieves. Can you imagine? All right, get ready. You're going to have to make a run for it because we're 1-in, 1-out. So, clock's ticking. You're going to have to, as soon as somebody leaves, you're going to run in there. You're going to do your shopping. You're going to run out. I don't know how that goes, but it's like, it's an indication of just how ridiculous things have gotten. All right. So you're going to have to stand at the front door and, a line of people. Okay. What's going on, guys? It's 1-in, 1-out. That's what we're doing. Ross Dress for Less and Saks off Fifth Avenue are operating a 1-in, 1-out system to deter thieves, while Nordstrom Rack is closing down altogether in September, along with its sister Nordstrom and scores of other stores such as T-Mobile and Payless Shoes. Here's a pretty comprehensive map of store departures, business departures in recent months. You don't have to go that far back into 2022. And you've got a bunch here. You got H&M, you got Uniqlo, Hilton, Park 55. That was the 2-for-1 hotel. You got the Gap, AT&T, Abercrombie and Fitch, Yotel, Nordstrom and Nordstrom Rack, Banana Republic, Saks Off Fifth, the discount, movie theater, Anthropologie, Westfield, just the mall itself, going back to the lender, Old Navy, Office Depot, CB2, Crate and Barrel. And this is all in a very small, concentrated section, let alone Whole Foods. Yeah, we're not going to be able to stay open. It's not working out for us. It's just not going the right direction. Edward Liu, 49, a local resident hospital worker, told dailymail.com, a lot of the stores are closing. A lot of hotels are shutting down. You don't get the numbers in downtown anymore because a lot of people are working from home. And one of the reasons that doesn't get a lot of media attention is that San Francisco is a difficult town to commute into downtown. It's just hard to get to. I don't know if you've ever driven there, but it's like, oh man, we got to go there. Brutal. It's a little bit like Seattle. You've only got a couple of roadways because you got the geography. We've got geography of mountains and Puget Sound. So you've got one side that you can't really access. Whereas in vast majority of LA, in downtown LA, you can get around the whole thing. I mean, you don't have that whole water concept right out there. You've got some more residential neighborhoods that front that whole thing. But downtown LA, a lot easier to get to than San Francisco. So people coming into downtown, they're just less likely to do it because they're like, it's a biatch to get into downtown San Fran. Why would I want to go there? So the homeless don't make people want to stay for sure. It's just not very appealing. They defecate, they urinate on the street, they do drugs on the street. The mayor isn't doing anything, and it's been like this for a very long time. Multiple mayors have done nothing. Now, Mayor London Breed is coming down hard verbally on some of this stuff, but, we're going to have to wait to see if she actually drops the hammer. We've got this deal called APEC, Asian Pacific Economic, something or other. It's a big, big conference coming into San Francisco. It's a big conference, worldwide conference. And I think that's happening in maybe a year or so. It'll be really interesting to see how much San Fran really puts the kibosh on the open air drug market and just all of the other festering issues that San Fran has right now. I mean, how are they going to clean that up? All right, guys, we got to really do some work here. We really let things get out of control. What do we want to do? What do we start first on? And one of the things that the mayor has made very clear is that they are basically just scooting the crime off the streets because it looks so bad. They're not trying to get help to anybody. They're not trying to get help to any of these addicts. They're just going after the dealers, and they just want to sweep the streets clean to make it look better. All right, problem solved. We swept it. All right, 2 thumbs up for us. That's literally, and that has been, openly discussed. Okay, this is not about addiction. This is about getting the riffraff off the streets, which I am all for. But, long term, that doesn't really solve the problem. You still got a bunch of knuckleheaded addicts running around. I just posted a story on my Instagram, and it was from a Portland channel. And it was just this individual out in the middle of the streets. And, they're just gyrating and falling down and, no shirt on, no pants. I don't know what they had going on. They had to blur out a whole bunch. You couldn't really tell, but it didn't look like a human being. You know what I mean? We've got these zombies. Well, there's also these folks that are just so wildly whacked out of their mind that you don't even, if you see them in person, you don't even really recognize that that's another fellow human being. They are in between fellow human being and animal because of the drugs they've taken. But, compassion lets us just, let's just let them, live on the sidewalk. They're fine. There's nothing wrong. They can't, utter a single word that you can understand. Yeah. And they're just shot up all over, no clothes on, and just screaming at the clouds. I mean, is it compassionate to let people do that? Hell no. No, it's not. So we're stuck in this. All right, we understand that this is impacting business just a scooch, and we want to do something. But what are you going to do unless you force a whole bunch of people into treatment? So you're going to go after the drug dealers. You arrest a whole bunch of drug dealers. Well, they're just going to go right to where they're not going to get busted, right? They're not dumb. So how are we going to really, because the drug dealers they still have a massive market. They've got a demand for their product, which is all kinds of drugs laced with fentanyl now. So, if we think that, just scooching them off the street is going to do anything, it's not. It just moves the problem a little bit. It makes San Fran look a little bit better. But under there, it's just this festering decay, right? So commercial realtor Mark Ritchie told dailymail.com that San Francisco had suffered particularly badly from the rise of remote working, for which has decimated footfall in the financial district and Union Square areas. He said, the office market in San Francisco is devastated. It's had the most severe backlash from COVID and remote work because of how tech-oriented the economy in the Bay Area is. Seattle as well. We've had just a rough time getting our workers back because they don't want to go back to the office. They don't want to go back. And you know what? For many teams, there's an argument to be made there. Hey, we're working in different locations all around the world. My team, I got a guy in London. I got a guy in Bangkok. I got a guy in, Mexico. I got a guy in Canada. These are all team members working on various, divisions of whatever it is we're doing for, say, Amazon. Why do I need to come into the office to communicate with all these folks that are working in different markets? Well, to get that camaraderie and, get that creative energy flowing with none of your team members. But there's a lot of divisions where everybody is in the same town. And that's where I think, that's where people are pushing. Hey, we need to really be able to collaborate and talk around the water cooler and, get those ideas from going out after, hard, long work week of 3 days in the office and going out to dinner together and just really talking about work. I think people have worked out at home how to get their workday done in about this many hours. Dose. Yeah. Sometimes the camera doesn't catch it because I'm, working on multiple angles here, but 2 hours. Get your workday done in 2 hours. The rest of the day, you walk the dog, you work out at your home gym, you cook food, you watch TV. It's not a bad gig, right? So if you can get it done, nobody's the wiser. You get your work all done. It's kind of what you did back in the office too. You just monkeyed around and looked busy. Like, I got to put together this proposal. Instead, you're, looking at Instagram and, somebody with a really good golf swing, Paige Spiranek. San Francisco is one of the hardest cities to commute into downtown. So the remote work crowd, there's even more resistance. There you go. Right. Seattle's hard to get to too. And it's nasty looking downtown, all this graffiti and just last week, the Park Hotels and Resorts announced it was stopping mortgage payments on 2 hotels, the Hotel San Francisco, Hilton, and Park 55, saying, and those comprise of 1,921 rooms and 1,024 rooms. So you got like 3,000 rooms, boom, going back to the lender. Now, you're going to say, all right, but there's a lot of hotels. Yeah, there is. But this is one of the biggest hotels in San Francisco, and they are not able to make it go financially or from a safety standpoint. And so they're just saying, we're going to pull out of the U.S. market entirely because one of their entities is out of France. And they're saying, we don't want to own this. They own a bunch of other malls and they're selling their positions in those and they're getting out. They're underwater on this bad boy. And that's why they're basically just giving the keys back to the lender and saying, hey, good luck with that. We out. And away they go. Saying now more than ever, we believe San Francisco's path to recovery. This is what the owners of these 2 hotels, San Francisco's path to recovery remains clouded and elongated by major challenges. I love that. It's cloudy. The outlook is cloudy. And we think that the time frame is elongated, meaning change isn't happening anytime soon. Get out your popcorn. Enjoy the decline. Need to make some merch. Hey, we got merch. We've got buy a man, eat fish the day, teach man to a lifetime. By the fearless leader of the free world. We got that going on. We got a bunch of merch and more to come. So if you want to check it out, should be a link somewhere in the description of this channel, but it's on our YouTube channel. A lot of good stuff that it hooks up with the Shopify store and bunch of stuff, right? I found this graphic by the Daily Mail to really kind of encapsulate what you got going on. All right. So 5-year budget deficit, $1.3 billion. Hey, we're going to be a little short next month. How short? $1.3 billion. Now, this is a running estimate of the 5-year budget. Right now, I believe they're at $750 million, a cool $750 million. We're going to ramp that up. So because of all the taxes that are being lost, no businesses operating, values of the commercial buildings declining. And you're going to have more of that to come. I had somebody ask me the other day, hey, I keep hearing about this economic collapse happening because of the commercial real estate. Is that going to happen? I think there will be a collapse of this sector of the commercial real estate, but I also think it's pretty small. It's actually pretty small because it's limited to big, tall buildings in downtown. Now I'm talking like a third grader. I am a managing broker and multiple designations by the Appraisal Institute in the field of real estate appraisal, but sometimes you got to simplify it. But what you've got is a situation where it's not commercial real estate everywhere. The vast majority of commercial real estate is like medical complex real estate. Think of it that way. Or small business, like the complex I'm in. You know, we've got 30 businesses here, all under a couple of different roofs. And, you know, it's not all commercial is in high rise, but the high rises are located in downtown and they're having a hard time getting people to work there. And it's just all going sideways for them because that's where a lot of this crime is. And this has happened in a lot of the downtown cores, not just in San Fran, right? Downtown footfall down by 65%. That means they have 35% of people walking around that they used to. That is massive. And that has a massive implication on the tax base of any city that has undergone that. And then you can't afford to bring the commuters in because you can't pay for the transit. So, you know, we talk about this doom loop. It's just going to keep going in a loop. All right, we can't fix up the bus. I don't want to ride that bus. It's a piece of crap. Massive oversimplification, but that's the bottom line, right? Stores closed 95 plus out of 200 something in this area. Almost half. A handful have opened back up. Even some of those have closed back down since the pandemic. 31% office vacancies. That's a massive number right there. 31% of all your commercial space in downtown is vacant. 22% is kind of the running average of big cities right now. So it's not crazy bad, but it's bad. You got a third of all your office space is vacant. That's not a good thing. It's not a good sign. It's not going to get turned around tomorrow anytime soon. Property tax revenue down 196 million and falling because a lot of the deals that are coming up that are going to happen, which you're going to have excise tax for, are going to be at a fraction of the dollar amounts of what we've seen. I mean, we saw an example of $300 million evaluation appraisal done in 2019, I think it was. That building recently selling for 67 million. I mean, just literally a fraction. And so when you're, confronted with those numbers, that whole 1.3 billion, yeah, it's not pretty. Public transportation use down 65%. We don't want to take the bus. We're not taking the bus. We're not taking the trolley. We're not taking the whatever it is, the underground subway. We're not doing it because we're not going to downtown San Fran. We're working remotely because we were told that's what we could do. And we're going to hold employer XYZ to it. And then employer XYZ doesn't need that space downtown. Downtown becomes more vacant, less people walking around. The doom loop continues. I don't like calling it the doom loop because I think it's kind of over exaggerated, but it's the term that everybody recognizes now. Hey, are you in the doom loop? We're in the doom loop. We've got doom going on because I'm not really a doom and gloom kind of guy. I'm more of all right, here's what you got, right? But San Francisco, we've been focusing on San Francisco a lot, and mainly because they are the poster child of their policies have created this situation where you've got this going on. You've got homelessness, you got drugs, you got criminal activity, you got human fecal matter on the sidewalk, you got, open air drug market, you got all this stuff that we talk about all the time. And it's just going on. All right, here's the one picture. Candy locked up in a store. What is this world coming to? Now, these are big bags of candy. All right. So I'm not seeing individual candy bars there. So let's be clear. It's the big bags of candy. And you might get $10 for one of these bags, right? $6. I'm seeing $10 down to $6. Just looking at this photo. But I mean, that's an example of, all right, even $10. So you get a couple of bucks for that bag of candy outside the store. You go down to, Tenderloin, the open air market, Tenderloin, wherever you are, Union Square, you get a couple of bucks. You get a pill with that. Go out and buy a pill. There's your next fix. Crunch that up, smoke that bad boy. You're good for a little bit till you need to go back to the store and steal from it. So you can see why everything is being locked up. Everything is being locked up. In Chicago, they've gone to was it one of the Targets, I believe? Or is a Walmart? Can't remember. There's a podcast on it. I did that. They basically have a little kiosk area where you go up and you order all your stuff. There's a handful of things that you can still pick up on your own, but the vast majority of stuff, you're going to have to basically order it from a kiosk. They'll bring it out and there's your shopping experience, right? So you get two little tiny sections with the very basics of essentials. Everything else is locked up because so much of their profit is walking right out the front door. And when that happens, they either got to raise prices or shut the store down. So the owners of the Hunting Hotel just sold up as he faced foreclosure. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Yotel was sold in a foreclosure auction and Club Quarters is headed to foreclosure while 20 others have loans due by 2025. Now, the situation there, kind of going back to are we going to have a mass meltdown in the economy because of this? And the answer is no. But one of the other things, in my opinion, it's going to have an impact. You're going to have some kickback from it, but I don't think it's going to be as massive as like the Great Recession or, anything else, the tech bust of 2001. I don't think it's going to be like that. But you've also got buildings that have taken a lot of debt because in the past they were doing much better. And so their valuations and what they could ask and what they could get for these properties was way higher. When you've got a 30% on average vacancy rate, say maybe your hotel's a little bit, you're not a hotel, but your office building is a little bit worse off and you got a 40% vacancy rate in your building, you don't have enough money to qualify for a refinance if you need to do that and pay off some debt that's coming due. You don't have the ability to do that. You don't have the income to generate that. So what are you going to do? That's what a lot of folks are. And we're also in a higher interest rate environment now, right? The Fed was late to the game and kind of doing some of its little song and dance to bring inflation in line with where they want to see it, under 2%. I think that's what they're shooting for. Convention bookers are avoiding San Francisco because of the homeless, leading to even more problems for hotels in a city where tourism numbers are down by 16%. Okay, and that's over pre-pandemic numbers. That number to me is kind of shocking. I would think it would be at least 25%. But there were 26.2 million visitors in 2019 compared with 21.9 million last year. I am shocked that 21.9 million people want to go to San Fran. But I think there's a lot of people that are like, well, yeah, it's an epic city. It's iconic. We want to go and see it. And so they're still going. I mean, they kind of just ignore the basic news and, people being assaulted, people having their cars broken into, all of that stuff. We still want to go to San Fran. We still want to see the waterfront. Yeah, we want to see Ghirardelli Square. We want to see all of this Fisherman's Wharf. We want to see all of this stuff, right? So people go there. They poke around. Yeah. Whatever. Hotel revenues were 23% lower than pre-COVID levels in April 2023 and appear to have stagnated. That is not shocking. I mean, you're just not going to have as many people going into downtown and staying there. If your tourism is down and with the state of the streets in San Fran, people aren't just hanging out there. They're not just doing what they used to do, which is walk around the city because they don't feel safe because you got a lot of whacked out people on drugs and you got these open air markets that are just like, what is going on there? And if you've never been by one of those, like in person, I've been by the one in downtown Seattle quite a bit. It's like, what third world country did I just walk onto its block? That's how it kind of feels, right? I mean, you're just like, what is going on here? And believe it or not, People that, occupy hotels, they don't want to be around that. And like this article says, pooping on the sidewalk, nobody wants to be around that. And there's other cities that people can go to. I don't know if you know that, but there are other cities that, tourism is still a thing. How about Miami? Miami's tourism has just rocketed since the whole pandemic, in spite of like the whole South Beach thing, takeover of South Beach. You just got some crazy stuff going on there too. Leaders estimate the situation will contribute to a budget shortfall of 1.3 billion in 5 years. So that's the rolling outlook, which is, okay, all of this stuff, it doesn't make income to a city go up. It goes the other way. Because you won't have the tax revenue, right? The decline in property tax revenue alone could cost nearly 200 million per year. San Francisco, you're talking about, massive budgets, hundreds of millions of dollars of budget. Sometimes you're talking $1 billion, depending on, how you're aggregating all this stuff and what you're looking at. But $1 billion isn't crazy. But when you're talking could cost nearly 200 million per year, that's a pretty large whack to a budget that is already stretched pretty thin. And that's to kind of hold things together, not necessarily trying to get ahead. So yeah, it's just, you've got crazy stuff going on, and none of this is easily, taken care of. It's not like there's a quick fix. It's not like, okay, let's build our way out of this problem. Yeah, that's what a developer does, right? Okay, we're going to hunker down. We're going to build one house in this development at a time. We're going to keep going, and we're going to wait for the market to get better. We're going to build our way out. You don't have the ability to do that when you've just got, street after street after street filled with homelessness, tents, drug addicts, and the drug addicts that feed them. And, these individuals that are drug addicts, they're stealing from the community. They're stealing from San Francisco. So you don't have the ability to change that overnight. So what's going to happen? The budget's going to get worse, and we'll just have to see what these individual mayors are going to be able to do. Oftentimes people tell me, well, we're going to have to send in the feds. We're going to have to send in this entity. We're going to have to send in that entity. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to start putting people in treatment? You going to go down that route? No, you got a whole bunch of drug addicts running around, and you got the criminal enterprises that are kowtowing to them because, hey, customer service is numero uno, right? Other than, killing people fairly often because of a little thing called fentanyl overdose. I mean, that whole thing aside, what's crazy is I've watched enough of the documentaries in the fentanyl crisis, and I was watching one not long ago, and it was on Portland. Was it on Portland or San Fran? Pretty sure it was on Portland. And they were saying, the person being interviewed was saying, yeah, it was a drug dealer. It was a drug dealer in Portland. And he was saying, yeah, people try and find out who sold the stuff that caused somebody to OD, because that's the good stuff. That's the strong stuff. That's the stuff with a lot of kick. Like you like to get your triple, caffeinated beverage at Starbucks or whatever it is. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the triple caffeinated version of that fentanyl dose. The one that knocked somebody off. Yeah, I want that one. That's the good stuff. It won't happen to me. I've got a high tolerance. That's literally what they're saying. So you think arresting a few people is going to do anything to that? I don't think so. So all the stuff that we talked about, and the list goes on and on. Daily Mail, here you got this empty mall. I'm seeing more and more video of just nothing going on in downtown San Fran. It's just kind of a ghost town because you've got stuff like this going on. This is Market and Mission Street. You've just shenanigans. You got a whole bunch of shenanigans run by misfits and drug dealers and gangbangers. That's what you got. And people don't want to be around that. Businesses don't want to run. They're not able to, be comfortable running businesses like that. And, we've had folks like this. We used to have these folks in our downtown cores, and they were called alcoholic bums. But now they're just whacked out hardcore drug users. Yeah, it's wild, right? I think there's still an older generation that still believes all the people in the tents that we're seeing today are alcoholics. And it's not. You don't see a lot of booze. You don't see a lot of indicators of booze in the homeless encampments because they're not spending their money on booze. They're spending it on drugs and a little bit of food and some smokes and food for their dog, just priorities. So yeah, this stuff isn't going away anytime soon. And the Daily Mail is just going to rinse, repeat, keep regurgitating it. And you know what? I don't see anything slowing this down. I don't see anything really stopping it. Like I said, you can have a situation where the mayor says, clear the streets. Yeah, but that doesn't end the problem. So cities that allowed this, I think are stuck with this for a long, long time. And it's going to take a long time to kind of work their way out. That's if they have the political will to start putting people in office. They're going to drop the hammer and actually arrest some folks and say, hey, you don't want to go into treatment? That's fine. You got to go to jail. Pick one. Which one is it? Because there's no real middle ground. Can't do it. It's not like, we're just going to put you in a tiny home and hope for the best. Think this will go well. And those people be right back out doing what they do, which is robbing from the community to get the drugs that they're going to ingest. Crazy times, right? Crazy times. All right. That's all I got. But the candy is locked away. But you know what's not locked away? Merch on this channel. I don't really care about merch, but it's funny to say, buy a man, eat fish the day, teach man to a lifetime by the leader of the free world. That's funny. That's good stuff. Buy a mug. All right. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up on the next one. Bye for now.